so much, Dr. Rouse, for joining us tonight. And we're going to cover a topic that, it just kind of goes along with the territory when you're working in the weight loss industry. And, of course, Dr. Rouse and I have worked together many, many years in weight loss. We've covered this topic many times. But sometimes when people are brand new to the weight loss industry, or maybe they're just their first weight loss program or system, this is just something you're going to be challenged with, and something that you need to know how to address and how to handle, how to work through, and it's a topic that we've been asked many times to discuss. So we're going to talk about how to break through a weight loss plateau, because again, like I said, it just goes along with the territory, and it seems like some people start out and they hit a plateau pretty fast, and then sometimes people go along for several months and accomplish a lot of success, and then they hit a plateau. And so, Dr. Rouse, I know you've dealt with this a lot, so we're gonna get a little bit more specific about, what's going on, what is a plateau, what causes it, and how can we break through it. So, first, I'd like you to just talk about, what is a plateau, and we've talked about in the past how the body has to have time during the weight loss process to repartition itself, but what exactly is a plateau so people can really understand that's part of the process?
I will. And by the way, they are normal, but they are very aggravating. It's when people have already lost a pound or so, or even many pounds. And the next thing you know, the scales will not budge, not even 1 ounce. Doesn't matter what they do. It's like, wow, I'm walking, I'm calorie counting, I'm exercising, I'm seeking nutrition, but the plateau just doesn't happen. I mean, the jeans will not zip, the rings fit too tight, and the bloat won't go. What's going on? So tonight we'll talk about, the ins and outs of that. But do mark up front that plateaus are normal. They're just normal for every single weight loss venture.
Well, Dr. Rouse, when you're talking about a plateau and you're talking about, people coming along, all of a sudden they're doing really well, they're losing weight, and then they just hit this time span where nothing happens. How long can a plateau last for some people?
And that is a precarious thing. I've seen it last as long as sometimes 6 aggravating weeks at a time. What happens is the mitochondria, the little factories that are doing the metabolism, they're going full speed ahead. You got them working 24/7, and without new equipment, without refurbishing the existing equipment, then the fact is that the mitochondria are doing all they can do. The key is, how can we get the fluffy, stuffed, white, adipose, bad fat to convert? We need to shrink the fat cell. We need to get it from white adipose tissue to brown adipose tissue, and that's called the energy cycle. And in order to do that, if all your machinery is used up, we need more horsepower, so we have to build new mitochondria. And in those cases, that's where the VSI wellness and the VSI energy are going to have to come in and go in there and do a factory overhaul, make more mitochondria, do new things. Then the TREMA goes right back to work and shrinks things down and skinnies us right back up. So first of all, we got to make sure the factory is working for us.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past it seems like maybe we've covered this topic before. I've heard you talk about in the past how the body has to have time to kind of catch up. Sometimes it has to have time to repartition itself. That's part of the cycle, but how would you explain that to someone, that it is a normal process and it's okay?
Okay.
For that.
Well, take the scenario that somebody has lost 15, 20, 25 pounds. Well, in the cleaning up process, you have to understand that fat doesn't just evaporate into the air. It's going to cycle back through the blood. and exit the body primarily through the liver. The liver and the lymphatic systems. The lymph nodes are the garbage cans of the human body, and they're from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. They're everywhere. But when the trash can gets full, the liver gets overloaded. Now what's going to happen? What's going to make more pancreatic juice? What's going to get the bile flowing? What's going to make the liver clean itself up? We got all these things going against us. And so we have to ask the person that's in a plateau, are we up against prescription meds? You know, there are certain prescription medications that are just constantly stagnating the liver, creating much more difficult scenarios for weight loss. Beta blockers that are used primarily to control the rhythm of the heart or blood pressure, they are notorious, like tenormin, atenolol, cardizem, beta blockers, things that are out there are notorious for obesity. Antidepressants. People are all the time taking a cheer-me-up prescription drug like Zoloft or Paxil or things like that. Those gain weight. Birth control pills. And even diabetics who have to inject insulin. So prescription drugs may be part of our scenario. So most of the time, once these people have reached a plateau, they're going to need, for some reason or another, to drop a few more calories out of their daily intake. It may be as much as giving up a cracker or moving away from a whole wheat to a gluten-free. It could be simple little things like that. And then if they would increase their physical activity with it, just a little more, maybe 3 times a week, a few more steps, just generating down on calorie, up on physical activity, that's put us into a new ball game. So going in there, we have to say, well, where are we? Now let's say somebody's going to say, well, Charlie, what is it that I know that my liver needs cleaning, or my nutrition needs to be upgraded to help my liver and my lymphatic system? And what we do is we do a simple math test. The first thing we do is we ask people to measure around their waist. That's in inches. So let's just, for example, let's take 36 inches. Somebody's 36 inches around the girth. And then we divide that by the inches of how tall they are. So let's say this 36-inch around the girth is 5'9". So that'll be 69 inches. Now, when you divide 36 by 59, that comes up, roughly 53. Your ideal is 50. We're trying to get to 50 in that. But the average man is 58%. The average woman is 54%. That predicts automatically that we must control the detox system in the liver. And the two primary nutritions from Visi are the Trima, as well as the nutrition called the Visi Energy. Those are liver enhancing, very powerful, invigorating. Now, on the lymphatic system, that's the part where the garbage cans are. That's going to be a little more difficult, and for that we're going to use digestive enzymes. We're going to use a complete whole body detoxification system. And for right now, we'll have to hold on till April when we get to Las Vegas, and then I can tell people more about the wonderful introduction of how Visi is going to take care of their lymphatic system. But there's no reason why the plateau cannot be stopped now. We're going to presume that they're on prescription drugs. We're going to presume that their waist in inches divided by their height is greater than 50, maybe 55, 60, or whatever. So now what we have to do is, for them, we want to concentrate on glycemic index foods. The Canadians are very familiar with what I'm talking about, and the Americans need to grow up and learn about it. Glycemic index is more important in girth control and liver healthiness than calorie counting any day. And they specifically give each food a glycemic number. And in the case of somebody in a plateau, they're going to want to concentrate on the majority of their food to be a 50 or less by the glycemic index. For example, a baked potato has a glycemic index of almost 100. That is lousy, bad, no good. But a red-skinned potato, now potato is different. A little red-skinned potato that you boil in water and smother in butter has only a glycemic index of below 50. So you see the choice there is you can still eat the potato, but not the baked potato. And what happens is the low glycemic foods will not allow the blood glucose levels to rise rapidly, which then prevents high insulin levels, which then prevents storage of fat. And then which also, by the way, when we eat low glycemic, we're going to drastically feel more fuller, and we're going to reduce our hunger a lot better. And then if you add fiber to the diet to reduce the blood fats and eat more fruits and vegetables, you're home free. So sometimes it's just a little bit of the glycemic load to get off of the plateau, that kind of thing.
Okay, and that makes me think of something else that we've talked about before, because you've talked about the whiteout diet, you've talked about things that pertained specifically to getting off the high glycemic foods, but what about that yo-yo dieter that has spent many years going on programs, either taking supplements or going on a particular weight loss regimen? They lose weight, they gain it back, they lose it again, they gain it back, and then boom, all of a sudden, they're in a situation, they need to lose weight again, and they discover our products, they discover Trima, they get off to a somewhat seemingly good start. Maybe a couple of weeks into it, their body seems to be responding to it pretty well, and then boom, all of a sudden it seems like they hit that plateau. What would be one of the first things that you would suggest to someone?
Perfect scenario. And what happens is the underlying culprit is they're on a roller coaster. The nutrition, the Trima, is definitely helping their blood sugars to be healthier, and their lifestyle probably needs to be tweaked at this time. Some of the plateau no-nos, or in this case, what you call the whiteout diet, that's bread, pasta, rice, noodles, cakes, biscuits, crackers, muffins, anything that has refined white sugar, potatoes, milk. It is a true whiteout diet. Now, what does the bread, pasta, rice, noodles, cakes, biscuits, crackers, muffins, candy, chocolate, desserts, potatoes, and milk have to do? Well, it pumps just a tad too much insulin, and now the cells become aggravated, and the human cell will not allow the insulin to go in and metabolize fat, give you energy. Instead, it's storing. And people that are not only plateaued, they're having a hard time losing weight, we would ask them diagnostic questions to see if we can help them. The ones that truly necessarily must emphatically go on a wheat-free, bread-free, pasta-free, rice-free, noodle-free diet are those that answer yes to certain diagnostic questions. Is your waist larger than your hips? Then you're a strong candidate for whiteout diet. Do you have difficulty losing weight? Then that's an indicator, the whiteout diet. Do you have difficulty sleeping through the night? Believe it or not, your roller coaster, your insulin insensitivity is keeping you awake at night. If you crave sweets during the day, it's because of the bread, pasta, rice, noodles, cakes, biscuits, and crackers in the blood. They make you crave sweets. Do you get irritable if you miss a meal? Do you feel tired or weak if a meal is not in your agenda? Do you feel dizzy when you kind of stand up suddenly? Do you get frequent headaches? Do you feel tired and about an hour after you get through eating? Do you feel like your heart's palpitating? Are you shaky at times? Do you get afternoon fatigue? Do you have mood swings? Are you irritable? Are you depressed? Do you feel anxious? Are you nervous? Look at your skin around your neck and under your arms. Do you have skin tags? Is skin slower to heal when you have a cut, bruise, or sore? Or are you getting more infections like cold and flu and things like that? See, all of that has everything to do with wheat, bread, pasta, rice, noodles, cakes, biscuits, crackers, muffins. And when we pull these people away, when we white them out, it's boot camp. It's like going to Camp Lejeune. It's like getting the Marine the power charge, and they're going to put you through boot camp. It's not going to be an easy journey in the first few days, but within about 36 hours of whiteout, your body takes control. You become the boss. And when you use Trema with your whiteout, now we're going to allow your serotonin levels to pick up. See, when dieting, as soon as somebody diets and curbs their appetite, their serotonin level drops, their tryptophan levels goes down, and now they crave more carbohydrates and fats. So because they're dieting, they must use Trema to raise the tryptophan, raise the serotonin, and offset those offshoots that are going down. So the whiteout diet, emphatic, and it's for those who answered yes to some of those questions that I just asked them.
And one other thing I want to throw in here, and because this is something else that I think I've seen a lot of people do that really contributes sometimes to sabotaging the results they're trying to get, or prolonging a plateau and just not allowing things to move along. We've talked about this, and this is so key. How important is it for people to get protein in the early part of the day?
The most important. The only way to manage hunger pangs and the true balancing of blood sugars is to be high protein. And it needs to be a good absorbable, a good, powerful protein. And yeah, I have no problem with eating eggs and grilled chicken for breakfast, things like that. The less fat we eat, the more protein we consume, and protein very, very healthy. For example, some people might not consider it, but it's good, like to have scrambled eggs and sliced avocado and fruits, and then some protein in a cheese, in a meat, whatever it might be. And protein will definitely stall the more rambunctious appetite at noon, lunch, and mid-afternoon. So most people that have trouble at noon and mid-afternoon, they're protein deficient in the morning time.
And we've also met those people that they tend to make their dinner time their biggest meal of the day, and that is another big no-no, and we've seen that really hurt people a lot.
Yeah, we need to eat like a king for the morning hour and more like a prince for the noon hour, and then more like a pauper for the evening. And you don't have to deny yourself. You can still have a slice of fruit and nuts. Nuts, any kind of walnut, pecan, almond, nuts are going to give you rich protein, good satisfaction. So put them in the scenario. But again, as we mentioned at the very top of the lecture, you have to understand that it takes time to reduce insulin levels and improve insulin resistance. And it takes mucho time to remove unhealthy fats from the liver. So if things don't, it's 6 weeks for sometimes, don't get frustrated. That does not mean change your eating plan. It's not working, because it truly is. Trema is lowering cholesterol, triglyceride, excess sugar. It's doing a lot of things even though the scale's not showing. Give me 6 weeks into therapy and your body will respond back to you and say, well done, good and faithful.
Wow. And we sure have talked a lot about the topic of insulin resistance. That is a huge, huge issue, and sometimes it's hard for people to really grasp that and understand that in the very beginning when they begin to learn about it, but it's so major. And so that whiteout, getting rid of that white food, and like you said, going on that boot camp for 10 days, and if you can just get past 7 or 10 days of that, give your body a chance to convert back into a fat-burning mode, because as you said, if you've got too much insulin in the blood, now your body's not going to function the way that it was meant to. Insulin can't get into the cell to burn fat.
I agree. And some people, Gloria, do very well when they keep a record. Take a 3-day journey and keep a diary. Record everything that you lick and taste and swallow, and anything that goes down the goozle, put it on your paper and watch your portion sizes as they come up. But when it comes to insulin resistance, I think probably the worst food in the world market is any food that contains high fructose corn syrup. And when you look at a label, you're going to be surprised. You would be surprised that it is in your soda crackers, it is in your ice cream, it is in your dressing, and it is in your peanut butter. But there are foods that don't have it. So choose better brand and get away from high fructose corn syrup.
So they need to be buying peanut butter without the high fructose corn syrup. It's out there. You just have to look for it. And
correct. And how many people, Gloria, do we know that innocently use artificial sweeteners, whether it's aspartame, neotame, saccharin, cyclinate, sucralose, asulfame K? All those things are out there, and they've been brainwashed. They put on the bottle soda zero, 1 calorie this, 0 calorie that, and yet those are artificial. That is lymphatic clogging, that is liver congesting, that is brain stealing, that's moving away from your serotonin. It's doing everything that you don't want it to do to keep you from getting out of your plateau. So artificial sweeteners are always a negative to plateau resistance.
And it's so funny, Dr. Rouse, we just got back from Utah, the Premier Summit that we had out there. And in the South, you hardly ever have a meal without iced tea or sweet tea. Tea is just part of our normal beverage. And when I was in Utah, I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, but they didn't serve a lot of tea out there. But in the South, if you order unsweet tea, they're typically going to come to your table and bring you one of those pink, yellow, or blue sugar packets. And if you say to them, no, thank you, I don't care for that, they kind of look at you like you're from a different planet.
Yeah,
it's just the norm.
And if one of our friends come from any other state to South Georgia and drink sweet tea, they have no idea. It'll give them a powerful headache because it is powerfully sweet.
It sure is. It sure is. Well, I think this has given us some great information tonight. And again, you just have to realize that plateaus are part of the territory. And, it's just a time that people need to be patient, and we can educate them on how to break through these plateaus and not give up, because some people do give up just before they get to the finish line. So this has been very, very helpful tonight. And this will be a good one to share with people. So thank you, Dr. Rouse, for coming on here and spending your time with us this evening. And again, for those of you that are listening tonight for the first time, we're here every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we appreciate all of the hard work you guys are doing and all of the lives that you're changing and the people that you're helping. So thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rouse, and we will talk to all of you on the next call. Thank you and good night.